This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Welcome to ER Vet on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Justine Lee, and I'm a board-certified emergency critical care specialist and a toxicologist. Today, we're going to be talking about Sago palm poisoning in dogs. We don't even know if it's poisonous in cats, but I think cat owners should pay attention also. We'll be right back after these messages. Hi, Dr. Justine Lee. You know what I love? I love my cat Lola because she is so tolerant of my human kid, who's a toddler, whenever he tries to pick her up. But you know what I don't love? Cleaning up after Lola's litter box, which is why Arm & Hammer created new cloud control litter. There's no clouds of nasties when I scoop. It's 100% dust-free, free of heavy perfumes, and helps reduce airborne dander from scooping. So what happens in the litter box stays in the litter box. New Cloud Control Cat Litter by Arm & Hammer. More power to you.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Back to ER Vet on Pet Life Radio. Today, we're going to be talking about Sago palm poisoning. This is more commonly seen in dogs than cats, but we suspect that Sago palm is still poisonous to cats and other species, including humans. Now, when it comes to Sago palm, I used to never worry about this one because I've always lived in the Northeast or the Midwest region of the United States, and we never had Sago palm. Sago palm typically grows outside in really warm, temperate regions of the United States, so the southern states, Texas, Hawaii. However, more recently, I was visiting New York and I found this in one of my favorite grocery stores being sold as an ornamental bonsai houseplant. So veterinarians and pet owners all throughout North America need to be aware of the dangers of this really deadly poisonous plant. Now, if you listen to my previous episodes on ER Vet, you've probably heard me say that 90% of plants out there honestly aren't that big of a deal when your dog or your cat takes one or two bites. Most of the plants out there cause just mild gastrointestinal signs like drooling, vomiting, and diarrhea. When in doubt, you can always go to the ASPCA Animal Poison Control Center. They have a fantastic webpage on different types of poisonous plants. That said, of all the poisonous plants dangerous to dogs, Sago palm is one of the top ones that I worry about. And again, because now it's sold as an indoor houseplant, all dog and cat owners have to be aware of this poisoning. Now, this is a really old plant. It actually dates back to the dinosaur era and was found in fossils. While sago palms look like palms, they're technically not a palm, but they belong to a group of, quote, living fossil plants. The sago palm is a member of the cycad family, and you probably have heard of them by their more common poisonous names, such as the cardboard plant, which is in the Zamia family, the kuntai plant, the cycad, or the Japanese cycad. When it comes to sago palm, all parts of the plant are poisonous, especially the seed. This is found as nuts on the female plant, and it only takes one or two seeds to cause poisoning in dogs. Unfortunately, a lot of landscapers will use sago palm as part of landscaping. The next time you're walking down the strip in Las Vegas or you're traveling in the South, please look around because you'll notice that sago palm is everywhere. Now, sago palm feels different than other types of palm plants. It usually comes with this big, brown, oval-shaped seed-like structure where there's really thick green fronds coming off of it. You wouldn't think that a dog would want to chew on it, especially how thick and waxy the fronds are. But unfortunately, this is quite a common poisoning. What makes sago palm so poisonous are 3 toxins within the sago palm. One is called psychocin, and it causes liver failure. Another one is called B-methylamine L alanine, which sounds like a mouthful, but that one causes neurologic signs like seizures and coma. The third toxin hasn't even been identified yet, and it's a high molecular weight poison. So what do we need to know about Sago Palm? The biggest thing that I worry about is it's going to affect three main organ systems in the dog that chews into this: the gastrointestinal tract, the liver, and the central nervous system. Most of the time, if a dog eats or chews onto Sago Palm or even dried fronds of Sago Palm, they're going to have really severe gastrointestinal signs immediately. Your dog may start drooling, having profuse vomiting, having diarrhea, even having bloody vomit or diarrhea. Sometimes in later stages, I'll even see black tarry stool, which means that there may be an ulcer in the stomach or intestines resulting in digested blood in the intestinal tract. The second thing that I often see are central nervous system signs. So your dog may all of a sudden start walking drunk, collapse, start tremoring or seizuring. In severe rare cases, it can result in coma and death. The third organ that's affected is the liver. And this is the one I worry about the most. This is when we can see lethargy, not eating, jaundice, or yellow gums, increased liver values. So if you think your dog got into Sago Palm, you do want to get to your veterinarian, your emergency veterinarian, or call the ASPCA Animal Poison Control Center right away for life-saving advice. We'll continue with this really important topic right after these messages from our sponsors.
Has your pet ever suffered from digestive issues, anxiety, or joint pain? We want to address these issues and more with high-grade CBD oil from Alpha, made specifically for your furry friends. Using Alaskan salmon oil as a carrier, Alpha Pet's 500 CBD oil is lab-tested for quality, consistency, and safety. Plus, we are giving Pet Life Radio listeners 25% off and free shipping with code PL25 for a limited time. So visit myalphacbd.com/dogs now. That's myalphacbd.com/dogs. Because your furry friends are family.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to ER Vet on Pet Life Radio. We've been talking about the deadly poisonous plant, Sago Palm. This is poisonous to multiple species. And again, we used to find this only growing in the south or the warmer areas of North America. But unfortunately, because this plant is so cute and beautiful, they have made it into a bonsai houseplant. So pets all over North America can be poisoned by this plant. When we see a dog, or rarely a cat, get into Sago Palm, we talked about how it can affect three main organ systems: the gastrointestinal tract, the liver, and the central nervous system. So what do you do if you think your dog just chewed into a Sago Palm? Well, the first thing you want to do is get to your veterinarian. Even if it's in the middle of the night, get to your ER vet right away. With any poisoning, the sooner we treat it, the sooner we can fix it. And the less expensive it'll be for you, and the less deadly it will be for your dog. If your dog comes in for getting into Sago Palm, I'm going to want to do a physical exam and some blood work right away. Sometimes I'll notice that there's a racing heart rate. There may be abnormal fluid in the abdomen or really painful abdomen. There may be bruising or signs of abnormal clotting. I may notice pale gums or even jaundice gums. Sometimes I'll notice weakness from having a low blood sugar or even a low blood protein from being in liver failure. So you want to get to your veterinarian right away. That's because I'm going to want to do a couple of tests and start treatment immediately. Now, some of the tests that I'm going to want to do with Sago Palm poisoning include looking at the complete blood count. This is going to look at the red and white blood cell count. It's going to help look at the platelet function. I want to make sure your dog's not anemic from having a stomach ulcer secondary to liver failure. The next important test is a biochemistry panel. That lets me look at the specific liver enzymes, the kidney function, the protein, and the electrolytes. I am specifically looking at what we call liver function tests or liver enzymes. These are often abbreviated as AST, ALT, and ALK-Phos or alkaline phosphatase. We'll also look at total bilirubin or GGT, cholesterol levels. These are all general indicators of how well the liver is functioning. If we notice an increase in the liver values, then we become immediately concerned that your dog's having secondary liver failure from the Sago palm. The third test I'm going to want to do is called a clotting test. This is called a prothrombin time and an activated partial thromboplastin time, an APTT. Now, in human medicine, they call this an INR, but in veterinary medicine, we abbreviate this by calling this a PT or PTT. This is really important because normal healthy livers in all species should make vitamin K. And this is vitamin K that's going to help the body be able to clot. With liver failure, we're going to notice that your dog may not be able to clot. And if this happens, it's going to need immediate life-saving care, including plasma transfusions or even injections of vitamin K. We'll talk about that a little bit later. I'm also going to want to check your dog to make sure that they're not hypoglycemic, that they don't have a low blood sugar. That can be seen with liver failure. A couple other liver tests that I'm going to want to do include doing an ammonia or bile acids test to see how well your dog's liver is functioning. Lastly, I may want to do an abdominal ultrasound. This is different from the x-rays. With x-rays, we're looking at the size of your dog's organ. With an ultrasound, which is usually done by a board-certified veterinary radiologist or internist, we're looking at the inside or the architecture of the organs. We just want to make sure nothing else is going on, like gallbladder stones or liver cancer or anything else like that. Once we've done those initial tests, the next important thing is to hospitalize your dog if they got into Sago palm. Why? With poisonings, again, I already mentioned the sooner we treat it, the better the prognosis. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is get an IV catheter in and potentially start IV fluids with or without sugar supplementation if needed. This is also going to help hydrate your dog and increase blood flow to the liver. Depending on when your dog got into the Sago palm, or depending on if they're already vomiting or showing symptoms from the poisoning, I may actually want to, quote, pump the stomach. I may induce vomiting to get the plant material or even that Sago palm seed out of the stomach. I may give multiple doses of this black powder called activated charcoal to help bind up the poison from the stomach and the intestinal tract. I may also use a drug called cholestyramine. That sounds like a mouthful, but basically that's a bile sequestrant. I'm trying to absorb the toxins from the Sago palm from the gallbladder before they're absorbed by the body. I'm also going to put your dog on anti-vomiting medications once I've induced vomiting. I'm going to put them on IV antacids because we can see stomach ulcers or even intestinal ulcers from liver failure. I'm going to use IV protein, something like Head-a-Starch, if your dog's protein level is really low. I may treat your dog with antibiotics, especially if liver failure is present. And one of the most important things I'm going to do is I'm going to start your dog on oral or IV liver protectants. Liver protectants typically come in two main forms, one called SAMe, and this is very similar to the supplement you buy at GNC or whatever vitamin store you're going to called SAMe. This is a liver protectant. The IV form that's similar is called N-acetylcysteine, and this is actually the antidote for Tylenol or acetaminophen paracetamol poisoning. This helps protect the liver. I'm going to do blood pressure monitoring, supportive care. Depending on if your dog's clotting function is abnormal, I may need to start doses of vitamin K1 under the skin or even give a plasma transfusion. I will say that most dogs that get into Sago palm poisoning are typically hospitalized for about 24 up to 72 hours. Now, what's the prognosis? This poisonous plant is so dangerous. If I had it growing in my backyard, I would dig it up and get it out of there. I wouldn't even cut it down because if it grows back or if the dried palms fall into the ground and your dog eats that, it can still result in poisoning. That's how dangerous Sago palm is to dogs. In one study that was done out of Louisiana State University, they found that only 50% of dogs that got into Sago palm survived the poisoning. That sounds really bad. That means that 1 out of every 2 dogs died or were euthanized. That said, I will tell you, most veterinary schools are what we call tertiary care referral centers. So the study makes it sound like dogs have a poor prognosis because most of the time, tertiary care referral centers like veterinary schools aren't seeing the ones that are doing well. Those are treated by the family practitioner or your emergency vet. I know ASPCA, Animal Poison Control Center, has found approximately a 10 to 20% fatality. Regardless, this is a plant that can kill your dog, so you want to keep it out of reach. Now, in this original study out of LSU, they found that the higher the liver enzymes, the lower the protein, and the more abnormal the clotting blood tests, the worse the prognosis for your dog surviving. That's why even with aggressive supportive care, we want to treat these guys aggressively, because if they are able to survive the acute sago palm poisoning, they can potentially develop long-term secondary chronic liver disease like cirrhosis. So how do we prevent this? Please help prevent sago palm poisoning by making sure you can identify what this poisonous plant looks like. Google it right now, because I want you to make sure you know what it looks like. Avoid bringing any bonsai household plants into the household unless you're 100% positive what species or what type it is. Make sure to remove any sago palm from the yard and appropriately dispose of it. More importantly, if you think your dog was exposed, an immediate visit to your veterinarian or your ER vet is imperative so we can start aggressive decontamination and treatment. When in doubt, again, you can always call the ASPCA Animal Poison Control Center for life-saving advice. Like I mentioned before, with any poisoning, the sooner you find out the poisoning, the sooner it can be treated and the less expensive and the less dangerous to your pet. When in doubt, get to the vet and keep that sago palm away from your dogs and cats. Well, that brings us to the end of today's show. Find me at drjustinelee.com, on Facebook at Dr. Justine Lee, or email me your pet questions at drjustine@petliferadio.com. With that, we're out of time, and we want to thank Mark Winter, our producer, for making this show possible. See you at the next episode.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.